What is a prodigy, screen lines, and high center interference in set position of the lobes of a proxy? Communication lines, screens, and high set locations in its all levels. Intelligent lines, high center interference, and position of its program. How to use yourself in all set locations. We're coming into all lines of communications. It's just truly understanding your awareness of what you're doing through your consciousness of everything you say, everything you do. In positions, your body's coming in more lines and more reactions. It records everything you say in set locations. Your mind is the conceptual location of the settings and all through navigations. Your heart is all line communication of alignments and all through time sequence, all calculation of your settings and your souls. And direct signal location of your settings and tractions. Your soul is all lines of communication of light and line position location. Your body is its capacitor settling conditions. So there's a sound barrier in line conditions all levels of biorhythm. Now, biorhythm is the line conditions of metric male, line conditions high center position travel calculation settings, and travel locations to its female. Polarity is overall correlation setting of track lines and how to use the representation lines of size graph activity, location, size metrics, and the high calculation line condition position of its program. Okay? The symmetrics and application calculation line settings puts everything in adaptation of surface. Try to understand the positional location when you sit down in a chair. Do you understand where to go in track location? Your mind's shifting to that anomaly line screens. Your positional location, your chair, is just moved to another line condition, another dimension. So, in that position location, you understand the particles, you understand the atoms, you understand the molecules, fractals, protons, electrons, neutrons, protons, and separate connections. So, none of that means anything until you understand the existence of you through how it works in operation. There's a center communication line settings that we all have to recognize who you really are. Let me say that again. Who you really, really are, of who you really are coming into, is your memory. Coming back to online communications. So there's so many ways to defy that, who I really am. Okay. Okay, so today class, line screens, high center adaptation line position location system, all levels of high calculations. Now the team's coming into proxy. Proxies and position line calculation settings, knowing exactly how to use your X line position of Y lines or locations or X, Y, Z. Locations of 2X line connections, XY line setting, position is all calculation modification settings. Calculate and modify how you use your communication in your chromosomes. Locations in your capillars, intra-application line screen, and high positioners operation line system. Knowing exactly how everything is operated inside of you instruction, which is incredible. It's just an assembly line. So once we start to identify that, when it comes in all the tractors of pi, everything comes in formation to its calculation of screen lines. Direct calculations, for example, get a line condition that E equals MC square. Okay? There's so many ways of doing that correlation to named track lines. Okay? Now, in position line calculate, let's take this out, and position location line connections. Let's take this out. Let's take this out, this out. What do we have left? Right? The correlation track line, the confusion line in setting. This is the adaptation, the position of force. What's above is what's below, right? Now, what happens when you take that out in track locations? It just leaves you, right, with an anomaly. So once you come into that provision line cycles, you're left with this in set locations, right? Okay. The actual equation is not the box. It's you. It's the equal setting. Okay. Platform communication and travel. Point centers are high calculation of transitions and set connections. Okay? Going through those platforms, 24, 48, 72, and 144. Okay? E equals MC. Okay? So the square, what does the square come into in setting? So the actual square is not there, right? So it actually turns into triangulation. Triangulation goes into the center operation of you, right? Your polarity line communication of its male comes in position track lines of its female set locations. Track calculation line interference of its female sets location to its male and track location system. That's balance in position line set location line connection line centers, two panels of communication screen lines in set position to its operation surface in track locations and all settings. Okay. So the actual square is not there. That's the faulty communication line interference. That's the confusion you guys get with your illusions. It's the illusion that's the box. Okay, it's actually the eagle line center is you in positions. That's why you guys are separated. So you've never been separated, and you're coming back to that through its memory line communication settings. So once you understand that in track location line conditions, there's no equal sign. You're free from above, and you're free from below. You're free from all center location of center calculation line conditions. You're out of the structure of design. Platform communications, torical fields, line condition setting, triangulation line conditions, set position of its operation system. Okay, you are free in platform and all levels of communications. Attractors, coordinates, sending attractions, all through this application. Now, once you come into the structures, you're still in two panels. Okay, so getting out of those two panels, communication lines, center locations, no space, no time. Still in the center communication setting of view and operation surface and track locations. That's you and traction, right? So into that position locations, this goes, this goes. Now you're dealing with this. Once you understand that position line condition settings, once the sim understands more modifications, just you instructions, you're set free. Okay, you're set free, right? No more relation, no more structure, no more design. All right, so you start with that calculation. Okay, understanding you in volume, mass, anything through coloration, anything through correlation, anything through track lines, anything communications. So the E-line centers comes into energy line, right? That's information location in your system that contain your system. It's calculation line conditions. So E is the equation locations to your battery. Balances communication lines, screen lines, high adaptations. So the male cycle, the female cycle, line screen line conditions is U interactions. That's your calculation of polarities. But you're also in the female and male cycle too, which is its application to your other calculation to your polarities. So there's polarities of space and there's polarities of time that you have to have in track locations. Your center operation location is all lines. So if you're male polarity position, you're a triangulation line condition of center. If you're a female triangulation line condition, you're a triangulation box. Now, in position, that's where you start off with GOD. That gets you out of structure, out of design, gets you out of panels of space and time. So in that track line is position locations. You come in this cycles and set location. Okay, from this to this. You come into that. You come into this and this and this and this. Set free. All right. So no more tether in track location in positions operation to its earth. Okay. All right. Once you guys get into your settings locations, so 12 line provisions, 24 tethers and line conditions inhibitors. Now, inhibitor line connections is an energy line source line. Set location and settings. So energy charges and power surges is set location and settings. Okay, so actually inhibitor line screen location is an enhancer. An enhanced lines connection setting in track location in your system. It travels at point lines of tractions in all levels of pi and track line provisions and cycles of communication setting of program locations. Okay. The center correlation setting is position of view through the cerebro. The cerebro sets the lines communication setting as center calculations. Okay, very powerful. Once you understand the direct signals, you and platform in communication system. That's why you have to recognize line conditions. So those panels come the actual line conditions of zeros and ones and tractions. Okay, use the graphical screen lines and position locations to your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. The triangulation graphs, hieroglyphics, correlation setting, attractions. Right? Directed signals, modification, screen lines, adaptation. Sets core lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and position of 7 in traction. Sets correlation setting the travel lines into 1 in position of 2, in position of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in track location. Solar sails in both directions. Okay? Solar sails in both directions. So that's about understanding line connections is going through all calculations to your settings. To know exactly going direct and redirect in two different sails in communications. You go from dimensional sail to solar sail, right? So the whole idea here, okay, is to really get into your positions and how to go through your platforms. Okay, sailing through life and track location. Okay. Complicated, isn't it? Try to understand what's going on through your locations. Okay. All right. So Let me show you again in position how it comes in interactions. Okay. Falsity, that's what puts you off calculations. Separation. Space above, space below. There's no space above and there's no space below, just you and equal. So you are in the center position of travel. That's you. That's where you start. You are the box in set position. You are the triangulation, which is your third eye calculations, right? So it's a 2-box line screen now. Waving lines, mainframe, box frame. Correlates the travel lines in a 3-track line provision. Takes you out of the equations. Box, 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 box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lines of data formation, screen setting, and calculations. Lines in a 45-degree angle. Sets lines of percentage over correlations at 100%. And set calculation your settings of pi. Directs lines and modification lines of height, position of travel, and set locations and set connections of all calculation programs. Positions of process, Merkaba position of design line. Okay. Correlates and track lines into mainframe and track location, high centers of generation screen locations. Okay, high modification screen lines, adaptation of surface, and all of the triangulation force line connections. Okay, of set design, right? So this is where you start. This is the equation, not the box. It's not E equals MC squared. It's not square. It's never been square. That's the falsity position location. That's what you don't focus on. That's the illusion. That's the trap. Setting correlation lines. So the actual square is actually the matrix of set design that you're in. So you're in the center line communication. This is you in box frame right here. Okay. So it's actually you here. So what you're doing is you're coming back to its memory in set position. Correlate the track lines to high centers of box line triangulation or triangulation box. Puts position lines as centers. Inline communication of tracker systems, direct signals, modification lines of solar screens and set position operation setting, coming at all lines of all communication of face recognition line connections of the inner child. Okay. Understand that process now? That's why you guys were tracked. It's application line condition settings. It was actually the square. Let's do it again. Equals MC. Now, so applications, that's very confusing, isn't it? All right. Systematic lines and quantum lines of awareness and track locations, right? So this is gone, this is gone, this is gone, and so locations, this is gone, right? So the actual box itself is its matrix that puts you in set location settings. So what you're doing is you're going back in time, going through the equal line setting, right? Puts you here in set locations. When you wake up, you go here. When you here, you go here, right? So the equal-line centers comes in position of all calculations. Then you come in your setting line calculate high center interference in your position locations to your transits. And set design. There's platitudes, your line screen lines, of platform communication of 24, 48, 72, 144, and track location. Okay. Now, in that position of its process, in all lines of all communication setting, the platforms changes lines of directions, 4 lines, 5, 6, and 7 line conditions. 2 lines of track, 3, 4, 5 in provision. Okay, so getting correlations of balance in set line connections, time jump, time jump, time jump, time jump in set location. Coming line connections to its location grid in set locations, right? Going through the graph calculation screen lines in set position of travels, right? So that's exactly what happens when you get from here to here. You come into your memory in set position, you come into your platforms, you walk the platforms in communications, and you go through its dimensional screen line doors on set location. Okay? So the doors, position lines comes bigger, and gets bigger, and bigger, and bigger in set location. Okay? Put your illumination graph lines in your set location of travel lines, direction modification screen lines of high setting. Puts all levels of view in track locations of platforms of design calculation. All right. All right. So now you understand the process. But in-line calculation setting and track location is understanding your flywheels, guys, and specification lines into projections. Your frontal lobes and screen line, directing modification line to your templates and tablets. All right, so you got a 4-track line provision. Okay, center correlates in center line settings. Sets position track line communication interference. Direct lines modification cycles. and direct locations, cross lines setting high interference, browse adapters and set position travel lines, eye septors over lines of pi, position lines, pyramid activation stream, Merkaba design line, throw pattern communications, and line settings, core tracks, division line screen settings, line connecting high interference, 24 inhibitors and line screen location of coding, direct lines across line settings and high travels, breastplates and travel lines, sets lines of core, ear lines to set location of right line, sonar line rotation, direct lines of space line correlations and attractions, planet surface and a 2 lines and a 3 line and 4 and a 5 line provision, center core settings and track lines and provisions of soul generation screen lines and high calculation. Okay, platform of design and correlation setting attractions. Bounces you in all levels through your solar sails in both directions, direct and redirect. So when I'm speaking, right? It's in rhythm, it's in pattern, it's poetic. It's like do 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 do, right? So getting into that rhythm puts you in a binary. That binary, the transistors and the resistors keeps going faster and faster. So it has to understand how to direct and redirect. It's no difference in going up and down with number sequence of patterns or anything like correlation setting attractions, right? From all lines of communications, understanding yourself through projections in line connecting and high position of your projectors and set design puts you in all lines of communication setting and all lines of high center interference in all position locations of face recognition. Okay. All right. So getting into that position locations, guys, is really understanding you and triangle locations and that calculations. Equaline position locations. No space up, no space below. Just you. Getting you guys into square, triangulation, or getting your line conditions of triangulation into box locations. Getting out of that design line condition settings. Center lines of communication lines, graph calculation of point lines of tracks, sonar line, communication line, position location lines, center interference, position programs. Directing all communication lines to structure line communication lines, getting direct line position of its program and set location line conditions, star gates, star maps, star panels, star position location attraction. The set locations. All right. Confusing anomalies and track location of travels. Directing lines of modifications, triangulation line conditions of its set location line settings. Putting all levels of track locations out of structure, out of division, out of locations into star gates, star portals at set location. Okay. So once you understand that in that position of its process, then you get a lot more connections and settings when you come into this line conditions. The torical fields, the correlation settings, the position of your Merkaba tetrahedron, understanding the projections and set locations to projector of itself and line connecting setting into your frontal lobes as set design. Okay, so cerebral cortex line design comes back to you in a track line calculation setting and all lines of high set position location. All right. Recognition of timelines, position of box centers or triangulation and set positions calculations. Male polarity, female polarity. All right. Female polarity, male polarity. Right. You got to get out of structure. You got to get out of design. You got to get in position locations and all line position of travel lines and direct line connection settings when you come to all lines of all communications and high interference and position location of solar sails. Okay. You're applied to the visual location of your higher self, and the cerebral cortex line has to understand the size metrics, high position of the all calculations, the synergy lines, the screen interference, the high position of its program, the Schumann resonance, the alpha tones, the delta, the theta, the omega, zeta, gamma, and high position of radiation, high setting. Putting position location to its calculation, high position of travels, direct lines of frequencies. You are on position location to its settings, walking on the actual frequency itself. Okay, so you start with the platforms first, right? You go through the platforms in position location and settings. You start with this. You're coming out of this in track location and all setting of travel. Okay, you're coming out of this, you're coming into this, into that. So once you start walking on the frequencies of screen lines, you're walking up line screens, line position of its program, its application settings to binaries. So you go from here, 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 its allocations, right? Generation screens, no longer platforms, position locations. Structure line, division line, screen interference. Travel any position location at waving line cycles its application. Okay? All right. So I don't want anybody to get confused with that platform communication lines when you come into 24, 48, 72, 144. Putting your provision cycles puts you in lines of calculation how you see yourself through projectors of projection. Okay? Going in this line communications. Going through this line calculation setting and track location. Okay? Going through this communication setting in this set location of travel and set position of its operation. Okay? Or going from this position location on a different angle in the center communication. Or going from this line connection setting into this center line communication setting. Okay? It's all how you see yourself in platitude and screen line communications of operation of its intelligence. See the intelligence? Right? Greetings, communication line, position, track lines. See the intelligence right there. See the eyes. See, look, there's the eyes. Okay? Look, eyes, arms, body. Okay? Face. Face recognition to everything. Face recognition to everything, people. That's what you have to understand through solar sails. You're correlating your position of track lines. You're putting the line centers and high interference into your position locations, all levels of track locations of its intelligence, of its space recognition, of design. Okay? All right. And that's how you go into projectors. If you ever use a projector in position locations, you always have a line connecting setting in all travel and set locations. Okay? Or you look through a different lens and correlations and attractions and high set location. All right? Or you bend the high position of travel lines and time sequence, position of panels and set correlation setting, line connecting high position habitation zones, planet center here, planet center here, planet center here, and set location. Okay? So there's so many ways to see a location grid in a 3-line calculation. And Pluto is right here in track location. Okay? It's all calculation modified in 1, 2, 3, and 4 set design. All right? So there's so many ways to see through projector of your projections. It's the perceiving line calculation setting, how you come into that through its anomalies. They're already starting your longitude and latitudes now, right? In track locations. You see the solar sail? You see the solar sail right here in traction. There's the solar sail. Okay? Here's another solar sail. Here's another solar sail. See how powerful it is? See, it all comes together and how you see all levels of set locations to your frontal lobes and positions in timeline screen, high position locations. So getting track line provision lines, the eye sector lines, a 2-line position of travels. Okay. Setting lines of communication, your browse adapters. Browse adapters right here. What are they used for in track locations? Start to see the division line tractions. What are the eye line rotations for? What are your nose for in track locations? Why do you have templates and tablets? What is that in representation your setting locations? Identifying your line communication of face recognitions, put you all levels of programming line conditions. What are the finger points doing in the 4 track line provisions? Why is my thumb in this track line conditions? Right? It's all identifications and setting, right? So you can actually see the square root of pi in track locations. 1 slither, line rotation centers, open track line, setting communications. See the energetic dome in set position? Coloration line screen, high travels lines. 4 track line provision cycles, high calculation lines. Position lines of Pluto, direct locations of Mercury, set correlation setting in Neptune, and track location into oscillation screen. Direct lines of thumb, interlight connection to the sun, travel in position of point centers, and travel communications, a point division, and all calculation line centers of face recognition. Okay? So in that track location to its provision. right? So what I did with my finger points is showing you through a diagram, through a structure, through schematics over pi, through projections. The eye central line calculation setting is know exactly how to see it through set design, guys. Okay, and then you see it traveling, right? You see it moving now, right? So don't look at this, look at me, then you'll see it move, right? So it takes a line communication lines, 60,000 line screens, 60 billion line screens, or 60 trillion line screens. So where you are in acceleration of Mach, put you in all travel communication in your settings, and all levels of frequencies of position, over power, over generation, and calculation line connections, and your Earth habitation zones, and a 3-track line provision, or 4-cycle correlation setting of a solar sail set location in projections over pi. Okay, so the more you focus in position of what's behind, you'll start to understand the projections. Stop looking here, look at me. Okay, and that's how you have to start seeing things. So you don't look directly at the object. You don't look straight at the object, look behind. Okay, that's how you see things. In track applications, it gets much easier. You just have to bounce out. Right over left. Okay, left over right. Okay, here's the hologram in position that you come into correlation of. Okay, that's how you start to see things. Then you see the platitude line screens in set position of its calculations. Okay, so this is you in traction. Right, so you're scanning this in a 3 travel. Okay, through pi. Split the anomalies in a 4-track line provision. Okay, in that calculation lines. So you're in positional platforms and that track line communications, understanding its directions and where it is in track location of its settings, all through its operation cycles and its application. Okay? So don't ever look directly at something. You look behind. Very basic with the hands, right? Don't look at the hand. Look at me. Look at general. Okay? So if you go here, where are you in position of? It doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, right? And so where do you look now? Where do you look now? Where do you look now? Do you look at the hand? No, you look at me. Okay? Always focus on the focal point. Wherever you are and anywhere in position of traction and perception through right over left and left over right, always look at that focal point. Over here, where are you looking in position? Okay, don't look at the hand, look at me. 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 Okay, so exactly, Chris, exactly, right? So if you have in position, so you're here, 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 but your focus is here. So you got 2 eye provisions, right? Right over left, left over right. Hologram. Set design, right? So seeing beyond is the projector of the projections. Very powerful stuff that you guys have to understand through calculations, all right? That's how you start seeing things. If you start looking at the hand, you're not going to see anything in design. You always see everything in position, okay? You're never looking at the hand, okay? So that's what you have to focus on. One eye has to be in provision. That's how you balance your settings and set locations. Directing lines of modification and all calculations, all right? Setting correlations, setting attractions, setting correlations, attractions, and set design, okay? It's always in position across reference, okay? So this is the focal point, this is the hand, right? So hands, hand. So you're looking all at once, hand, right? Okay, but your position track lines, you're looking here. You're looking here, right? And then you see everything in track location to its settings, to its operation system. It's that design, okay? So that's how you come into your projections through pi, guys, and how you see things, and all communication to its program of setting. Okay, it's extremely powerful, right? So you got two position line centers. Now, in correlation setting of track lines, the solar sail directs lines of modification screen lines in position to its calculations, right? Now, in that formation locations, I had a conversation with Amy, which is very powerful in Q&A. We're basically saying in positions, do we have three suns? Yes, you do. Two here, one here. Two here, one here, right? So you also have three moons, two here, one here, but your perception changes. So in that track lines of seconds, minutes, and hours, you have to understand it through line communication through its setting to all lines, all calculations, all at once. You see everything all at once and set position, all through a box or a main frame. Okay. So you're never seeing one of anything. You're seeing everything of one. So when you get into that position of its program, then you understand the two suns and three track locations, two moons, and one line setting. Okay. Put that together, comes into 6. Put that together, comes into 9 in track locations. Put that together, yin and yang, process, correlation, setting, attraction. That's that design. Okay. So that's what it is, guys. All right. But I just really want you to understand how you come in position locations, how you come in calculation line centers to really identify yourself in all track location to its intelligence of face recognition. Okay. It's very powerful, isn't it? Especially when you understand more communication lines as setting location in your systems, solar sails. Okay, really get into that arrival. Because you come in line calculation setting and travels in location settings and platforms and location grids and set design. Setting location line connection to its allocated line screens and high position its calculations. Putting position lines as centers in your track location line conditions in all line division in track locations and calculation. Okay. Start seeing through the division line lines center locations to settings of a solar sail. Okay. So this is where we come in direct and redirect lines of binaries and set locations. Right? Understanding the lines of space and time, because there is no space, there is no time, just you in the center. And that's what you guys have to let go. Okay? That's what you have to let go. Once you let that go, there's no panels. Okay? There's no box. There's no mainframe. Okay? It's just you in the center of all operation. You in the center of all operation in set location. Okay? So that's what you have to let go. Once you get out of that correlation setting, you have to really understand how to volume yourself through location grids into your solar sails, all through line condition setting, truth narratives and false narratives as applications. So the test is based on you, how much you already know through its own travel in its algorithm and position to its locations. Okay? How to set up that traffic, how to set up that flow, how to set up that metric meters and set location your settings and travel. Okay? There's always ways to looking at forms, but you have to start seeing it through a line connection setting, line connection system, and travel communications with box frame, or triangulate calculation setting to cerebral cortex. So everything that you draw, you should be able to remember, which is muscle memory. Okay? It doesn't matter where general goes. I know what it is. I know what it is. And there's no thinking. It's muscle memory, and it brings you back in time, real time, into the real now. Okay? So it's really interesting when you look at the realities, line connection setting. But in position location, this is already changed because it's in its own time, line conditions. But once you plat it to its own universe line screen, you have to understand its new frame that it's set up line positions because it's not in the same box center, because it's traveling to its own line communications in real time of its own set location of its intelligence. Because this is moved now, right? So this in position is over here in traction. But you guys don't see that in set location, right? Because you're focusing on this, which you should be focusing of everything behind you. So the more you focus not on this, you focus on this, or you focus on that, right? You can focus from this, this, and this. 3 platforms. Okay? That's what it is. Try to understand. 1, 2, and 3 platforms. Okay? So this is the mainframe platform communication setting. So you don't focus on this, you focus on this. Okay? So you focus through the intelligence. You focus through the intelligence. Okay? Now, once you get connections, it comes out in an equation and communicates with you to its holographic setting, what it really is of its intelligence. All right? Communication line center location of what it is to its formation of its real intelligence and set design. Okay? And then it communicates with you in set locations. Okay? Communicates with you, communicates with you. Okay? So you don't look here. Okay? You look through. So you can go through the portal of communication. Right? So you can travel right through and set design into its location grid. Okay? So you're never looking directly at something, are you? Your provisions are looking beyond. That's how you understand the platforms at 24, 48, 72, 144. You're creating platforms. And the platforms come as position lines of solar sails in set location. Okay? All right, so I think we're getting a better understanding now how this all works. Okay, how to really understand that process. So the next time you are in position lines and anything that you look at in traction location system, never look directly at something. Look beyond, look beyond, look beyond, look beyond. So here, here, or here. Pick a focal point. So when you're looking at this, don't look at this, look at the wall. When you don't want to look at the wall, look at me. Always look at something that's behind you, not in front of you. Okay? Then you'll start to see 8 fingers. Then you'll start to see the dimensional wall moving. Then you'll start to understand that that chair right there is moving, right? And then you understand the screen line communication lights is going, or it's lacing lines or communication screen interference or set position travel lines and position location. Put your hand, don't look at me, and set general, look at my shadow. You'll see the shadow move, right? So never, ever look directly at something. Always look beyond. Okay, when you break a board, you don't look at 3 inches beyond the board, right? When I went into line condition settings and high calculations of Taekwondo, set positions in all track locations and settings, you look at the center line, but you go beyond the center line, all right? So this is what I'm in position of. This is me in track locations and setting and travel. Okay? Hitting the board, but I don't look at the board. I look through the board. So I look through. That's the projector that you guys have to understand. It's projection. Start to see the open cycles. Then you see going beyond. So your vision sees beyond pi. Okay? Congratulations. That's how you see beyond recognition of set design. Okay? All right. Getting into that line communication lines, you have to understand how to use your binaries now at a higher level. The frequency patterns and the correlated settings of tractions has to more recognize your line conditioning solar sails. Getting out of structure design is a pivotal point of view. So when you're looking at track locations, okay, pick point centers and look at them, right? But look at them all at once, okay? You don't look one directly at a time. You look at this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one all at once in all directions through pi. Okay? So you're never looking directly at something. You're never looking directly at something, right? Set position locations and setting. This is the hands. So if you're looking at this, you're missing out on all this all at once. It's time framing in your eye line screen so you can see everything all at once. So once you start seeing this, this is moving over here, this is moving to here, this is moving over here, moving over this way, moving that way, moving this way, all at once. Okay? See the intelligence? There's the intelligence. There's the eyes. Okay. There's so many ways of looking at it, people, but as long as you go inside, and you also can see that everything that travels creates its own solar sail of set design. Creates its own solar sail of set design. It has to have solar sails. As has dimensional sails, so it knows exactly what it's doing when it's traveling on its own system, right? But this is the most powerful thing. It's not traveling through structure. It's traveling through its existence of what it already knows in set line connections, of its intelligence of formation. Okay? So that's how you start seeing things through projection. Okay? Never, ever look directly at something. Always look beyond. Okay? So you're looking at me, and you want to communicate with the shadow, you want to communicate with the calculation line connection settings to here in position aligns high center interference, anything with the light structures or location setting, or anything through dimensional wall line communication position travels in set locations, and that calculation line connections, don't look at general. Look at 3 provision cycles, right? Take your eyes here. So go here, and then split. And through design. And that's how it comes one all at once in set locations through projection and calculations. All right? That's what you have to do. That's going to help you understand now. It's not in position where you start here and you're in peripheral. Well, peripheral is just basically, looking direct back and forth, right? Here, right? So in position, you see that line connection, but where am I at provision lines? So I can see in the corner how far I can see it, right? I can see it over here, right? Because my perception is everywhere. Circulating, rotating. It's not looking anything direct. It's not looking at one pivotal point. It's looking at everything all at once. Okay? That's what you need to do. You have to change your perception. Okay? So don't look at anything direct. Go here, it splits, and it comes in, right? And it creates a pattern. Right? People aren't trying to understand that position location line connections. Let's say you get a position lines of high calculation. Let's get a metal plate. 1 circle locations, right? Track line connections, high center interference. Okay, going through this line communications and settings. Okay, 3 line calculation setting and position locations into 1 hole in set locations, right? So what that's going to do in 3 line communication is going to come into 1 center in set locations, into 1 tractions, in 1 line in set lines, and create patterns in all communication to its position, in all lines of communication to its position of program. Okay. So it's really interesting how it creates its own structure, but it creates a pattern. So if it's going in position of 1 in position, it's going to go split and come back together, but it's going to create a pattern on the wall. Okay. So it knows exactly where it's going, where it's heading. Like I said, it's a positive and negative that basically it goes in the same direction. Everything goes in the same direction. Even if it's a subtronic particle, it doesn't matter. What matters, it always comes back to where it is, where it needs to be, right? So in that correlate sending in track locations comes into its own system location to its pattern. Okay? So I just want you to understand how when you see through perception, all through calculations. Okay? I think we're getting a little bit more understanding now how you guys have to really understand how to see beyond. Is never look at direct things, because you're looking at one focal point. You're not looking beyond everything else. That's how you have to change the way you look at things. Never direct yourself in one set of locations, because you're missing everything around it. right? So never look in that calculation setting. Never look at that focal point. Look at everything beyond that focal point all at once. All right. Now, the more practice you do it, the more better you get at it, right? Okay. Okay, so we're in 44 line screens and 22 track lines, a 12 line, 13 line rotation to 3 tractions. Time sequence in the correlation and traction interference. So does everybody understand that now, how this all works, how it comes into that formation line conditions, how in calculations for Hendel, especially with Hendel, he can no longer look in position of straight ahead. He's got to look beyond. So it's like a 2-second roll where he already sees the calculation in the headlights. He already sees the 4-way stop. This is Hendel here in track applications and center calculation setting. That's Hendel, right? So he's driving. This is him driving on platforms of a road. It's allocations, right? So he has to be looking this way, 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 all at once, right? All through platform in position of clocking, okay? So in position, his eye perception is already there. So his perception screen line is seen already at the traffic lights of the 4-way stop in track location setting and all lines of communications. Cars already he sees ahead in set location, right? He's not just seeing what this is. He's not just seeing what this is. He's not just seeing what this is or this is or this is, okay? He's seeing this ahead of time, okay? So that's where your perception goes. It goes beyond. So calculation line settings, high position, its projection, how he sees things in his set location, his eye setting. What do you think of that, Endo? Same thing with Chris. Same thing with Paul. Anybody that's driving and liking his setting. So you realize, oh my gosh, there's a gas station over here. So I know there's a gas station right here. Right? There's a gas station right there. Right? So you're not looking here, are you? You're looking beyond. So, whoop, whoop. Okay? So, kaleidoscope, line conditions, it doesn't matter. What matters, where are you focusing on? You have to be focusing on everything all at once. But your perception has to go beyond. And to see beyond is to know beyond. Okay? So there you go. That's how you have to come in provision. And all calculation line conditions, all right? So it's a whole new adaptation. This is a whole new level for the team in set connections. How to see through perception. That's set design. Okay? All right. See you at 5.